No, we were smarter than that. We'd make Marcus destroy himself. Step 1 was simple. Get Marcus angrier than usual. Poke at the bear, so to speak. We started making small, calculated mistakes. Greg would send in the wrong numbers on purpose. Sarah would brew the wrong coffee blend every day. I made sure the printer jammed every time Marcus needed it most. It was easy to push him further and further off the edge. He was already teetering there to begin with. Then came step 2. Record everything. Hi, my name is Daniel, and I've worked in plenty of toxic environments before, but nothing could have prepared me for him. It's been 7 months since I started at Ferris Incorporated, and I have never encountered a boss quite like Marcus Ferris. The man was something else, completely out of his mind. A walking powder keg just waiting to blow. It wasn't just that he was mean or difficult. No, it was so much worse because he was unhinged, volatile, and on more than one occasion, outright violent. It all started subtly. He'd explode at people over minor issues, make them feel worthless for messing up a tiny detail. One time, he threw a chair across the office when a good friend of mine, Sarah, didn't have a report ready for him on time.
Sarah, you idiot! You had one simple job, and you made a complete mess of it. What is wrong with you?
I'm very sorry, sir. I promise to do better next time.
It missed her by inches. We laughed it off at first. Just a quirky, eccentric boss, right? He had a lot on his plate, of course. That's what we told ourselves. One dreary Monday morning, the kind where you just hope to survive until lunch. Marcus stormed into the office, his face red, eyes wild, holding a coffee mug.
Who the hell brewed this coffee?
I was at my desk, pretending to look busy on my computer, trying to make myself invisible. Everyone knew that coffee was a sore subject with him. God forbid if you didn't make it exactly the way he liked it. Timidly, I raised my hand as it had been my turn to make the coffee that day. But I had rushed it, and obviously it wasn't to Marcus's liking. I did, sir. He walked straight up to me, gripping the mug like he wanted to crush it in his hand.
Did you use the special blend like I've told you 1,000 times? I told everyone I only want the special blend on Mondays.
I'm sorry, Marcus. I must have grabbed the wrong one. I'll make sure to remember for next time. Before I could finish, he threw part of the coffee on me before smashing it against the wall. It shattered, and the hot coffee splashed everywhere. I flinched as the hot coffee sprayed over me again. Everyone else, though, didn't even move. We were used to this by now.
You're all incompetent. None of you can handle a simple task like making coffee. What the hell are you doing here?
I blinked back tears, staring at the brown streaks dripping down the wall. Marcus stormed back into his office and slammed the door behind him. That night, after he left, we huddled in the break room, whispering, "That man's going to kill someone one day."
Yeah, I know. He's going to throw something and hit someone eventually and really hurt them. As is, you got burned by that coffee. But what can we do?
I don't know yet, but we need to think of something. 2 weeks later, Marcus's madness reached a new level. It was mid-morning, and we were all typing away at our computers when the sound of banging erupted from the copy room. Papers flew everywhere, and the air filled with the unmistakable clatter of plastic being smashed to bits. I walked over, peeking into the room. There he was, screaming and kicking the office printer like a man possessed.
Stupid machine. Useless piece of junk.
What happened?
It's jammed.
He snarled, storming out, not even caring that the room was now littered with the remains of the company's third printer in 6 months. Marcus didn't care about the damage he left in his wake. Not the physical damage, not the emotional scars he was leaving on all of us. But that day, as I picked up the broken pieces of the printer, something inside me shifted. I wasn't just scared anymore. I was angry. And I wasn't the only one. There's only so much abuse you can take before you snap. The final straw came during the annual team-building retreat, a mandatory weekend getaway that was supposed to improve morale. Ironically, it had the opposite effect. The retreat was at a cabin in the woods that Marcus owned. We all just assumed that he wanted to show off that he owned the property, but none of us cared about what he owned. We were all just counting down the minutes until we could go home. Late Saturday night, we were sitting around the campfire when Marcus started in on Greg. He worked in the cubicle next to me. I don't even remember what set Marcus off, Probably something trivial like the wrong marshmallow toasting technique.
Again, you're a failure, Greg. You know that? You think I don't know you've been screwing up those client reports? You can't even toast a damn marshmallow correctly. You're lucky I don't fire you on the spot.
Greg clenched his fists, his jaw tightening. We could all tell that he was very near to his breaking point.
I'm doing the best I can, Marcus. Your best is garbage. Maybe you're just not cut out for this kind of work.
Marcus was towering over Greg, who was sitting down. He then slapped the poker Greg was using to roast marshmallows with out of his hands. All of us could tell that Greg was doing his best to try to keep calm, but then Marcus pushed too far. He pushed Greg, shoved him hard in the chest, causing him to stumble and fall into the fire pit. He scrambled to get up, but not before the flames licked the side of his pant leg, burning a hole through the fabric. We rushed to pull Greg away, and the look in his eyes said it all. We couldn't take this anymore. Something snapped in all of us that night. After the retreat, the conversations in the break room changed. They weren't just about venting anymore. They were about survival and revenge. He could have seriously hurt Greg. He almost did.
He's dangerous. Someone like him belongs in a mental hospital. We have to stop him.
We all knew human resources wouldn't help. They hadn't done anything the last 5 times we'd filed complaints. Marcus was untouchable. He was the founder, the golden boy who'd built the company from the ground up. As long as the profits kept rolling in, no one cared how he treated his employees. That's when Sarah suggested it.
What if we get him back?
What do you mean? At first, the idea seemed ludicrous. We couldn't go after our boss. But then again, what was the alternative? Keep letting him terrorize us until someone ended up in the hospital, or worse. Over the next few weeks, we started planning. It wasn't going to be anything violent. None of us wanted to stoop to his level. No, we were smarter than that. We'd make Marcus destroy himself. Step 1 was simple. Get Marcus angrier than usual. Poke at the bear, so to speak. We started making small, calculated mistakes. Greg would send in the wrong numbers on purpose. Sarah would brew the wrong coffee blend every day. I made sure the printer jammed every time Marcus needed it most. It was easy to push him further and further off the edge. He was already teetering there to begin with. Then came step 2. Record everything. Greg was a whiz with technology, and he managed to set up hidden cameras and microphones all around the office, capturing every single one of Marcus's tirades in crystal clear audio and video. The physical threats, the verbal abuse, all of it. We had more than enough evidence by the end of the month to show the world exactly what kind of monster Marcus Ferris really was. Step 3 was the most satisfying of all, the final blow. Sarah was the one who sent the email, an anonymous tip to a local investigative reporter, along with all the footage we'd gathered. We knew it would take a little time for them to investigate, but we didn't mind waiting. We could already taste the sweet, sweet revenge. It all came crashing down for Marcus, faster than any of us had expected. Within days, the reporter released our story on their website. Before long, dozens of people from the media swarmed our office, reporters at every corner, demanding comments from anyone who would talk. The video clips of Marcus's outbursts went viral, splashed across every news outlet and social media platform. The hashtag #MadMarcus was trending everywhere you looked. Even though he was the founder of the company, there was a board of directors, and with the public shaming of Marcus, they couldn't ignore the problem anymore. The company was hemorrhaging money, and so the board demanded that Marcus step down and leave the company. This set Marcus off like nothing else. He ran around the office, throwing anything that wasn't bolted to the floor around, and was ranting and raving.
You'll all regret this. I'm going home for now, but I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll kill anyone who tries to force me to leave a company I built from scratch. You haven't won. I don't know which of you exposed me, but I'll make every last one of you pay for humiliating me like this.
We were all terrified as we knew that that was exactly what he was going to do. As he left the building, though, he ran out to his car and got into it, and sped out of his parking spot so fast that he smashed into other cars and continued to clip other vehicles until he was out of the parking lot. The next day, we were all dreading what was going to happen. I feared that Marcus was going to come back armed and hurt people, but then I saw Sarah smiling, and I was incredibly confused. What are you so happy about?
Oh, you didn't hear?
No. What's up?
Marcus never made it home last night. He was so angry that he drove incredibly reckless and caused a huge car accident. It will be a miracle if he even walks again.
I jumped on my computer and saw that what she was saying was true. Marcus had caused a 10-car pileup, and he had been airlifted to the hospital. It was so bad that he had become a paraplegic, as his injuries were so bad that he was paralyzed from his neck down. He had to use a special wheelchair that was driven by his mouth just to get around. On top of that, the families of the other people involved in the crash sued him for the pain and suffering he had caused them, and he was forced to pay out millions of dollars, which left him nearly broke and penniless. His girlfriend left him when he became broke and sick and fled to another state, deleting all of their photos on her Instagram. After that, we never saw Marcus again, as he had become a shut-in. From what we heard, he basically withered away and became a shell of the person he used to be. As for those of us in the office, we felt incredibly relieved, and the woman that the board of directors hired to replace Marcus was amazing. She was strict but very fair, and really kept us not only motivated, but made us feel valued and important. After that, we didn't have any more problems at work. I wish I could say Marcus went quietly, but of course, that wasn't his style. One day he showed up at the office, screaming at everyone, accusing us of betrayal. "You think this is over? I'll ruin all of you," he bellowed as security escorted him out of the building. But we just stood there, watching him go, knowing he didn't have a shred of power over us anymore. We later heard that Marcus was constantly being bullied by his caregiver. Whenever he shouted at him, the caregiver would lock Marcus in the bathroom for hours. Now, Marcus has become a shadow of his former self and constantly burns through his savings to pay the caregiver. Most of his family members have cut ties with him too, after hearing how poorly he treated his workers. He is now depressed. In the end, we didn't just get revenge on Marcus, we got our lives back. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.